Anyway, we're going to be talking about 6 Days of the Condor, or no, 3 Days of the Condor. The original book was 6 Days of the Condor by an author, James Grady. He had worked on several other books at the time, but this was one of his biggest selling books, and it was published in 74 and immediately was scooped up to be adapted as a film. And it's interesting how these books get picked up because it's so funny. We just dealt with what's that dipshit's name? Gifted dipshit. George R.R. Martin talking about adaptations. Adaptation, Hollywood needs to stop doing adaptation. I'm like, first of all, that's why you have any money. Because of adaptations. Two, even if there is a higher number of bad adaptations today, you still averaged over the last decade, one of the worst decades for Hollywood in decades, and still managed to get about 2 adaptations a year that were good. And I was just talking with another writer friend last night. I said, that's a good percentage. If you get 2 really good adaptations as a film per year, you're doing as well as the past. I mean, you go all the way back. I mean, film got its start doing adaptations. The first movie by Edison was Frankenstein. So
Wasn't it the first?
adaptations,
I'm sorry. Wasn't it the first movie from an adaptation from the Earth to the Moon? If I recall correctly.
no,
By that.
Edison started the whole process. He did a short film called Frankenstein, and he failed at it. And then From the Earth to the Moon, which I think is based on Jules Verne's work, so it's still
Yes.
an adaptation. The first films, adaptations, and in fact, they just finally did a cleanup over the last 10 years of Frankenstein to where you can actually see it and watch it, because it was a lost film for a long time. But anyway, so over the last decade, we averaged, and I did because somebody was trying to argue with me, and I said, well, here you go. I'll give you 2 films a year, adaptations that were good. Maybe even some of them great. And then at the end of it, I gave him that list of 20 titles. And then I said, oh, and by the way, let's bring up TV, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. It's like your argument is moot. Because if you can get 2 good films a year that are adaptations, it was worth it. I bet you Zax would agree with me on that too. If you can get
Zax.
two good adaptations of books into a film per year, you've had a good fucking year for film. So George R.R. Martin, typical talking out his fucking ass. I posted and tagged him. I said, again, you're full of shit. By the way, get back to writing. You owe us a book. Stop getting on the
He's
internet.
trolling the fans.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so
I need to run this for Zax.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Yeah, just go ahead, play him. Don't just play him. So when you go back to the original book, 6 Days of the Condor, because in the book, a lot of shit happens, okay, to this guy. And he is absolutely genius, very clever dude. But a lot of the things that happen to him for his survival is luck. And this gets brought up later in a scene. I'll bring it up in a minute, but you've got Ronald Malcolm is a CIA employee. He had a different in the book. He works in a clandestine operations office in Washington, D.C. responsible for analyzing the plots of mystery and spy novels. One day, when he should be in the office, Malcolm slips out of basement entrance to go grab some lunch. In his absence, a group of armed men gain entrance into the office and kill everyone there. Malcolm returns, realizes he is in grave danger, telephones a phone number at the CIA headquarters he has been given for emergencies. When the phone's in, and remember to give his code name Condor, he is told to meet an agent named Weatherby, who will, quote, bring him in, end quote, to protection. However, Weatherby is part of the rogue group within the CIA. Again, this is talking shadow government shit. Same group responsible for the original assassination. Weatherby tries to kill Malcolm, who manages to escape on the run. Malcolm uses his wits to elude both the rogue CIA group and the proper CIA authorities because he doesn't know which one's which. Both of which, and it mentions it here, have a vested interest to capture or kill him. Seeking shelter, Malcolm kidnaps a paralegal named Wendy Ross, which they kept her name in the film, whom he overhears saying she will spend her coming vacation days holed up in her apartment. Knowing no one will notice her absence, Malcolm enlists her aid. Again, this is pure luck, finding out more about the forces that are after him. She is shot and seriously wounded in the process, but does survive in the book. I'm sorry, it is then revealed that the rogue group was using the section where Malcolm works to import illegal drugs from Laos. A supervisor stumbled into a discrepancy in the records, exposing this operation, thus necessitating that the entire section be eliminated. And that's the basic setup for 6 Days of the Condor. Now, they adapted the book, and they did a fairly good job of adapting it, but they made some changes to the plot within it and changing the name of the main character. He changes his name to Joseph Turner. It's a name that works better as a main character and protagonist in a film. And we had some great actors in this film. You got Robert Redford, who was at the top of his game. Faye Dunaway, who had just come off of several films, including Bonnie and Clyde, 5 years before, and was sailing through the sky as a movie star. Max von Sydow, who was just in the film Hawaii and The Exorcist, and so he plays a character. Joubert is his name in the film, but he also has a different nickname in it too. You have Cliff Robertson, who is an Oscar-winning actor at the point. He played in the book or in the movie Charlie, which was an adaptation of Flowers for Algernon, which was one of my favorite books as a kid and one of my favorite films. One of the surprising cast members in here is John Houseman in a kind of a small role in the film. And, he's he and Lee Strauss were the two main actors that ran the acting studios in the United States. Here we go. This is like rap, East Coast, West Coast. And Houseman was a brilliant actor himself. He had just come off another great film, Paper Chase. Then you've got a minor character, but a very fun one, is Hank Garrett, who plays the mailman. He's one of the assassins in the film. And this guy's better known for comedy. He was one of the co-stars of the show Car 54, Where Are You? Which is a sitcom from the 60s. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there are any other great actors in this film that just sort of had minor parts in it. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you get some actors who become established later. But I think that's pretty much it. This is one of the best thrillers of its kind. And it came out at a point, this is right after Watergate. And Redford, of course, was preparing to play one of the investigative journalists. I think he's playing Woodward. Yeah, it's Woodward and Bernstein. Dustin Hoffman was Bernstein, and he was playing Woodward in All the President's Men. And in fact, he was prepping for it when he was playing this character. And so the original director was going to be working with another actor, and I forget who the actor was. But with Robert Redford stepping into the role, the director quit because he was attached to the actor. And so they didn't have a director. And Redford preferred Sydney Pollack, who was an up-and-coming director. He'd worked on a lot of television. He was also an actor. And Sydney, of course, stepped into the role of the director in this film and did just a phenomenal job. I consider it one of the single best thrillers of its kind in the history of film. And you had some films that came out around the same time, Parallax View, all those. All of them tried. I wouldn't say even with the true story of the Watergate break-in, this is the superior story, writing-wise. This is a great film. And so, do you guys have anything to say? I'm just like sitting here talking because no one else is.
Well, you're giving the synopsis, so I'm just
Yeah.
About the film and the book.
Oh,
the difference.
well,
Then I was talking about other things.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I haven't read the book. Then I must admit I just saw the movie yesterday
Same.
for the first time in my life, and it's a very, very good thriller. It's not because it doesn't relays on cheap tricks or gratuitous violence. No, it's a very cerebral thriller, and it has a nice way to keep you glued to the screen. You really want to know how if he's going to survive. First of all,
how is he going to do it? And and that's what the ride is. It's a ride.
Most of all,
it's
for so long, you have no idea what's going on. Even he doesn't know for the most part of the movie.
Now you watch that making a video too. Did you not make notes from that, Anima?
No,
Take down any notes? Okay.
Yeah,
that's okay, because I was editing at the time and I couldn't take notes. So basically, I wanted to get the name of the director that didn't take the job, that moved on when the actor changed. I couldn't remember the actor that changed. So this sucks. I'm sorry, guys.
Another detail that where you were talking of luck is I don't know if it's written in that way in the book, but the reason he survives is because it's raining, and when it rains, he leaves the building via the basement and not the front door.
Yeah, so they never saw him. It's pure luck. This guy, his survival is based on opportunity and luck. And I found that phenomenal. And because that happens to people all the time. That, it also happens sometimes. Yeah, it's a lucky. The guy just
I found
happens
it, Gary.
see you.
Okay. I found it. Warren Beatty was originally.
That was it. Warren Beatty, because he would go on later to do the Parallax View, and which was, I believe, kind of a ripoff of this story. Now, do you have the director's name?
Peter Yates.
Yes, Peter Yates, a very good director, by the way. But I think Sydney Pollack is better at this genre. But I'm going to point out that the screenwriter for this, one of the screenwriters, also would later work on the Parallax View with Warren Beatty, is Lorenzo Simple Jr. That name should sound familiar to Batman fans, because Lorenzo Simple Jr. is also the guy behind Batman 66.
Oh.
Yeah. And then David Rayfeld is the other writer. And David, he's had because that guy's been around for decades. And I think he was just brought in as the script doctor. It gives credit to him, but it doesn't say what he did. So my guess is because his career was pretty much always being a script doctor, that he was brought in to punch it up a little bit. And so it was basically written by Semple, best known for writing Batman, and which is a great show in film, by the way, because they're funny as hell. But this guy could actually write a thriller. It's a very good script. And so we got the screenplay ready. And like I said, the director, Peter Yates, was set to direct with Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty dropped out. And when he dropped out, they lost Peter Yates. He didn't have to leave, but he was brought in with Warren Beatty. So he chose to leave. But then they optioned to try to bring him back. And Redford, as the new star of the film, said, I'd rather have this
Pollack.
guy. And he brought in Pollack. And
But
Pollack
they settled it so friendly because Dino De Laurentiis still paid Yates his whole salary.
Yes, he
And I
did. He
think it's
paid him
nice.
what was due him. And by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. This is a Dino De Laurentiis production.
Yep.
People only associate him with like Conan and shit like that. I'm like, no, that guy was a prolific film producer. He worked in some great fucking movies. Robert Evans wasn't the only one putting out great films in the 70s. And Zax was agreeing with me. Yeah. So, hey, what's that? Don Vickers? Or is that Dan? I can't read the small.
Dan, but he's not here. Or Harrison, you never know. They are not
Well,
here.
he apparently dropped by to subscribe, I guess. So, awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
So, and of course, we got D. Bud Martin, hardest working wrench in the community. We got our dear friend Deborah Cohen, who is no relationship to Brett Cohen from Australia.
Or
Good
Cohen's
night, Mike.
Ghost.
Could be related to Cohen's Ghost. No.
You never know with ghosts. Yeah, I agree.
We have Lord Thoth arriving.
Hey,
Lord
Thoth.
I have Lord Thoth.
We say that perfectly in sync, Mati.
Yeah, but I butchered
And so
it.
there,
And you did it.
one of my favorite stories on this one is where Sydney Pollack was trying to motivate Faye Dunaway in her role, and she was tied to a chair, and she could not get away from him, and he just started menacing her, saying all these things he was going to do to her to really get her worked up. And then at the end of it, he's like, now that's what I want you to do, the way you're feeling right now, because he was really being menacing with her. And he took advantage of it. And this is a period of time when directors could get away with shit like that. I mean, I told you some of the shit Friedkin did. Slapping people, firing guns, blank guns, but nonetheless.
That is true shit, but he was just helping her to get the emotions out. So I don't think it's that messed
Yeah.
up.
But he was scaring her at the same time because she was terrified of him. She didn't understand.
She was too comfortable with Redford. She was excited to be abducted by him. And I mean, you don't get these emotions out of that.
Because he's so sexy.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't approve of those methods.
I don't approve of your methods.
Okay.
What movie is that?
More power to you. Oh, that is oh my God. Untouchables.
It's also another film.
I had no idea what this movie was about, and then I saw that scene, the gun in the drawer of the.
I want to go back to that
sweet old lady
weapon, because she was terrified. It's in the book and it's in the film that because of where they were located, she was afraid of being assaulted.
She's also the door lady, so
she has.
She's the first person they see.
That's a 1911 Colt
Mm.
45 ACP right there. That's a beautiful little weapon right there. That's Colt Combat. That's a great weapon.
How would she even get her hands on one of those?
Works for the CIA, for God's sake. Not to mention,
Yeah.
in New York, they allowed weapons back then. You
Huh.
know, they didn't have pussy governors and mayors.
Hey, Penny.
Hi, Penny. Hello,
Well, he's made an entrance. I have arrived.
So this is, you know, he's late for work. He's kind of like, he's one of those guys you're like, why is he even doing this job?
Yeah, I got the feeling he's pretty new and still figuring out why he's doing this. Am I liking this? He's not too sure.
No.
when asked.
He's
don't
not
know.
pretty new. That's what bothers
You've
his
been here
boss
long
the
enough
most.
to know better. Yeah, she says
Yeah.
it to him. You've been here long enough to know better. And he still does it because he's just kind of a troublemaker. You know, he doesn't mean to be mean. He's going to do things his own way. And it's because of that thinking that it makes him so good at his job. It really is. And of course, clearly we see in this scene, because this is a great buildup, we see that there is a something going on between him and Janice Tron, the Chinese girl. And clearly they have like something going on. It's not just chemistry.
Chemistry.
And actress Tina Chen played this part. And for such a minor part, she does such a tremendous job in this role.
She's great.
She sells that scene that's coming up.
Yeah.
And this, by the way, this opening is a huge inspiration to a scene in Vindicated. And it is kind of obvious that I'm doing a clear, I'm going to say it more like a Quentin Tarantino nod to it. It's that obvious.
You had a scene, and then
homages
this inspired
shouldn't
you
be
so much
noticed.
that you went and changed it. I
Well,
think that's
homages
cool.
should be something that's not really noticed until later. You go, oh. But when you see the scene in my book, you go, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was the other way around. I saw the scene in your book, you showed it to me. And then when we watched that movie and I see that scene, I'm like, oh, that looks familiar. So yeah, the connection's there.
And
Definitely.
of course, they do a great quote there, the ice bullet from Dick Tracy.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
it makes no sense. The bullet would shatter immediately.
You can actually use frozen stuff, but the one that works is it's called a meat bullet.
Mm.
And it just ends up looking like extra tissue rather than bullet.
Yeah, but if you pick meat that still has blood in it and it's the wrong blood type, and they somehow end up
They won't look.
testing it-
They wouldn't know to look for it. They wouldn't know to
Okay.
look for it. They wouldn't know to look for it, and because that's something that's been brought up in forensics previously. So now they're watching the front and they don't see that he is left. And everybody in this clandestine office has no idea.
They probably don't
about
know
to
there's a
happen.
back door.
Oh my
What?
God. Really? Really?
Hey, they say it in the movie.
Really?
Because
You
of the
just said
rain,
back door like
Yeah.
that?
They say in the movie because of the rain he left via the back way. So there you go. The movie is doing a breach. I'm just repeating it.
I don't think
quoting-
they ever verbally say back door in this, but
No, they say it via the back way.
yeah. So you should have told me to grab a clip of that.
Why?
So we have a backdoor video from this.
No,
God's
it's
sake.
better. No,
Don't know why.
we've had better ones. It wasn't that great.
Where does he mention the back way? I don't remember that.
When he goes to buy the lunch.
Right when he's leaving. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one.
I like how the security guys is scolding him. Hey, don't go that way. And he just waves him with a smile. Hey, bye.
By the way, that was the first time we get a glimpse of Max von Sydow's character, who's kind of called the Devil in this. That's his nickname, the Devil, and his real name is Joubert, which is funny because he's Swiss and Joubert is typically French, isn't it? Or Joubert? Joubert is
There's
French.
part of
it is
Switzerland that is French, Gary.
Okay.
yeah, it is well, no, forget about it.
And by the way, speaking of backdoors, I think Sax wants a date with you.
Gary, are you able to make it tonight? We're talking Game of Thrones
I don't
with
get.
ASOLAF. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what is that.
I don't know. Cat and
I'm
Light
asking
Sax?
him. I don't know what that second one is.
Oh, here.
Oh, A Song of Ice and Fire, the book. Oh man, you don't want me on there tonight. I have to do work because I just got my pen back. So I because I was asked to join another friend of ours, and I said I couldn't join him tonight. I've got to do artwork. Otherwise, I would love to join you. But I'm so behind, 3 weeks behind on artwork because somewhere in the move, a bag that had my game controller, my drawing glove that keeps my skin off the tablet glass, and the pen itself went missing into the Bermuda
And your
Triangle.
headset.
We don't know. And when the headset was in there, all of that in one place, gone. Don't know where it is. Scott's saying he couldn't find it, and I'm like, I looked here, it is not here.
How can a whole bag
So
go
I don't
missing?
know what happened to it, and so I wasn't able to do artwork for 3 weeks.
And you're gonna
And
need some serious cocaine to regain that time.
so I got my new pen. Just arrived last night. I finished a book cover last night, and then I got to do some more artwork tonight. So I'm way behind, 3 weeks behind, man. So, but anyway, so this is where you see Joubert for the first time, and you establish also the mailman character. And I got to tell you, for a 1974 film, that fight scene, this is right up there. This movie and The Marathon Man are my two favorite espionage thrillers. I love both of them. They're great freaking movies. And they both came out within a year of each other, as I recall. And they're the films by which other films should try to be more alike.
No,
Yes,
not
Lord
Todd.
Todd.
It's Tom and Gary. We have to bump Strange Brew.
Yeah,
Because
I
we
haven't
have to
had
bump Tom and
time.
Gary.
I've been working on so many different projects that I just haven't had a chance
Everything
to do
goes
it.
up a
No.
week.
This is the week that Tom and I have Vicky on. She was the assistant director on The Three Amigos.
I'm excited.
But I'm looking forward to doing Strange Brew because I love that movie. Again, Max von Sydow. Sorry, I'm reading the dialogue. This is a great setup, and they shot this whole thing in New York. There was no using of the studio for the exteriors. I love that. Some of it was done almost practically guerrilla style because those are people. Those aren't extras. People just walking around.
Yeah, in that making of video, no, the other one, we get given side by side. They show a shot from the movie and then the actual location. And I love shit like that. It's so cool. And they didn't change that much.
What do you
They
mean?
didn't have to. Well, the outside of the building and the streets, they didn't change that much. Where the lunch places, that side by side comparison we got, shot from the movie and actual real life shot. I just like comparison between shooting location and how it looks in real life.
Old lady smoking her cigarette. Yeah, she gets sprayed with I can't remember. I think it's an Uzi or it's a Mac 10.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
I had to say, you know, I have a conflict because I always have called what you call them, well, the Mac. Then to me, it's an Ingram.
Well, that's who manufactures it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ingram.
So I always call him Ingram.
But the Mac 10 is a specific model.
Mm.
Fast firing weapon, man. It and the Uzi, both. You can empty a magazine in about a second and a half. So I guess I can show that clip now in this scene.
Do you want me to pause? Yeah, I will pause. It's pause.
No, we'll go ahead and
Okay.
finish. And then
And then
when she delivered that line, oh my God.
She knows she's dead.
Because she already knows. She knows what's happening. She's
But she
very
doesn't
calm.
want to move away from the window because by staying there, there will be bullets on the street, giving it away. That's why they want her to step away. She's kind of trying to give whoever comes there first clues as to what happened.
a Mac 10.
So, yeah, that's an intense scene. And she doesn't move. Instead, the gunman has to go around her. And again, that gunman is best known for comedy, playing just a fierce role. He is so creepy and scary in this role.
Well, this assassination is just brutal.
Damn it.
Here he comes. And he noticed the door is ajar.
Yeah, and I wonder why they didn't bother to close the door after they leave.
Well, they assume everybody's dead. They don't expect
Yeah, but
for him.
the door of a building just being ajar for no reason in fucking New York City, that's suspicious. So they could
Look, a
have brought
door is a
themselves
door.
time.
It's not a jar.
Jesus, you know what I mean? They could have given themselves more time by closing it so nobody gets suspicious until somebody tries to get in. Like you said, they think there's nobody left who would have a reason to go in there, but passersby would notice. I'm just trying to think like a villain. I would have closed that door behind me. I was hoping she was still alive somehow.
Oh, how?
Yeah, no, I know. But when he grabs her like that, please don't be dead. But yeah, she's gone.
No, she's not gone. She's there. She's dead, but she's still there.
No, just a body.
A husk. A gruesome husk.
But now you make
Bullet
it
holes in the wall. I love the bullet holes being left in the wall.
Don't make it sound like an insect, Gary.
Yeah, the thing is, it should be blood spatter.
There is, just not that much. There is blood spatter on door frames.
No, on that wall there isn't.
On the
But
staircase,
okay,
yeah, there is, just not that much.
Yo, I didn't see it, but well, I'm not gonna fault the movie for that. The movie's awesome.
They didn't make it a bloodbath like they could have. Back then, Hollywood wasn't so bloodthirsty.
This is
have
after.
preferred.
Whoa. This was after Bonnie and Clyde. So you're wrong.
You know what?
I would have preferred
This was
closer.
5 years after Bonnie and Clyde.
I've never seen. Okay, I think now he'll stop being my boyfriend.
As I was trying to say, I would have preferred shorter bursts and closer groups of the bullets to signify they are very proficient with the weapon. Instead of just spraying bullets.
I don't know. I think they did it to show how reckless they were. They didn't care about anything but just getting everybody dead. So they would just go left to right and back, making sure everybody is just mowed down.
It was purely for effect. Now, this is where he's so uptight, he forgets to use his code name. Because when you call the emergency line, you don't identify, you never say names. Just like over radio, you never say names.
It's not just that. He's not used to doing that. He sits on his desk and reads books. When does he ever need his code?
Yes.
No, he's in panic mode. He's a calm,
That too.
collected dude. He's a calm, collected dude the rest of the time. I'm going to make this argument. The only reason why he screwed that up is because he's in a panic. The panic
Of course.
Stephen Ransom is here. Hello, hello.
Hey, hey. How are you?
What's up, Ransom? And it's the thing that I suspect for leaving it off the hook is to, one, probably prevent somebody else from grabbing it. They'll think it's, not working. Two, to be able to locate that phone.
Well, but they know where they are. They know the location of the office.
Yeah, but they want, there's a confirmation process. So they're going to want to confirm. And one of the things they'll do is tell somebody to leave the phone off the hook so they can trace that line and find out if that is actually on that location. And tells them a lot of different things. It's an intel thing they do. It's not the one to use this
with landlines.
And one thing I'd like to find out, there is a statue down when he was going out the back. I'm like, what is that statue? Because I would love to get that. I think it's old. What's his name from the song against slavery? Old something Brown, Joe Brown, Jeb Brown, whatever it's called. That famous character that was basically murdered.
You don't know.
Oh, blind, blind, lies smoldering in his grave.
I don't know that song.
Nope.
I need more people on this panel. I can know what I'm talking about.
You need more Americans on this panel if you talk
That's
about
what I
stuff
mean.
like that. Yeah. Being racist
So
here.
the only people who are people are American? Is that what you're saying?
No, he's talking about modern day US citizens. He's dissing the two of us.
Now I got to fucking look it up now that you guys aren't helping me.
Blame Shanatsky. He could be here. Help you out.
No, Shanatsky's burying bodies.
John Brown. He was a famous abolitionist. John Brown. And I'm wondering if that's what that statue is, if that's a statue of John Brown. I also like the realistic way they depict the officiousness of daily operations in the intelligence circles. That thing's so mundane. Instead of trying to make it look fancy like James Bond, this is more in line with what Paul Chatto and I've talked about in the past with the show called The Sandbaggers. It's a British show that's very similar to films like this, and a really good show, by the way. Paul Chatto and I have talked about it, and we've talked about doing a show about it. In fact, we should do that one on a Friday. And I'll get Paul to join us, and we can talk about that show, The Sandbaggers. And it's so mundane what these people do. You know, it's not espionage like you think. You know, it's boring, clerical work. These analysts, they're just reading books. There's nothing exciting about what they do. Sure, there's the potential threat to their lives for what they do, but that drops by degrees, you know, the further and more mundane the work is, especially if they're working within the country. Technically, the CIA is not supposed to work inside the country, but we know they do.
About Brown, Gary, there are 3 statues and none of them is in New York City.
But I'm wondering if it's a bust of him. It's not an official bust, for goodness sake. That's not what I'm saying. So I'm going to pause it here because the statue, you'll see it.
That bust. Okay.
I swear to God that bust looks like it's John Brown because it looks like a famous drawing of John Brown.
I'm looking at the statues. Yeah, it totally could be.
Nope, it's not him. My God. The beard's different.
Well, but beards change.
No, I mean it's depicted differently from the busts of John Brown. I mean, that comes close to looking like it. But in that one, his hair looked wild. So maybe it's not John Brown. Oh my gosh, hold on.
What?
No. Okay, boss.
I was looking to see if it was something from Shakespeare, but it's not.
Look at what Steven says.
Yeah,
It's
checking
always
out
about
busts.
the backstory, you know?
Now, this is where you finally one answer. Clearly, there is a shadow government thing going on here because when that guy doesn't come out of the shadows hiding at first, you should be suspicious. Like, why is he not coming out? While the guy he knows from the agency is standing there going, "Hey, come out, come on out. What are you doing?"
Well, and he had a bad feeling when that meeting was arranged, Redford's character. He did not want to go to an alley behind a hotel. But
Yeah,
had
he
no
didn't want to meet
choice.
with it. Well, what if if it's with somebody you know? And which is funny because that leads into the great line from uh, Max von Sydow later.
Somebody.
The look on his face here, like, wait, what? And then the guy kills him, shoots him right in the head.
Ice cold.
Cleaning up, man.
Rebecca Gold is here. Hi. I don't know if I've seen her before.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. I tried to look up sculptured bust scene in the film. It's not giving me anything. I First I thought it might be something from The Tempest if it's not John Brown. So I'm at a loss. By the way, it was brought up in this that clearly this isn't a movie set. This is an actual store that they went into to shoot this scene. And the hangers are hung this way to prevent theft.
And also to park the shit out of OCD people like me. I see stuff like that. I want to go there and hang them all in the same direction.
Of course, this is, one of my favorite performances by Faye Dunaway.
Oh, she's so good.
Kathy, where have you been? Because he heard her name. Then he puts the pistol in her belly.
And she must be terrified. I mean, this is New York.
Absolutely, because this is the kind of shit you hear in news reports all the time. And from the military, I know about some of the operations that have happened where you'll hear, well, an incident took place today where helicopter crashed. And it's like, buddy, no, it didn't happen that way. Did not happen that way. That's what they want the world to believe, but that's not what happened today.
Welcome, Rebecca Gold.
Yeah, I think she's new, right?
Oh, wait. Rebecca Gold?
I don't think I've seen that name before.
David?
No, I haven't seen her before.
Hold on. You're not thinking about something. I'm thinking. Rebecca Gold is a movie, isn't it?
I wouldn't know.
This is a great scene. Again, showing Marines doing security. She also has one of my favorite moments. And again, here you see the devil. Look how boring he is as a character. There's nothing exciting he's doing. He's no fancy car.
No.
This is so anti-James Bond. This is more real world. This is the kind of shit that Alistair McLean, not Alistair McLean, I'm sorry, wrote Smiley's people. I just forgot his name. Le Carre. John Le Carre. Which is not his real name. He never used his real name. I think that might be David. If Rebecca Gold, if I'm remembering, is one of his films.
Nadia, hi. Good to see you.
Hey, Nadia.
Hi, Nadia. And again, this is one of my favorite scenes. This is I've got this clip. I got to play this clip. This is such a great moment, trying to make them understand why is he so good at what he's doing.
Never underestimate the power of books.
Plus, he does have a military background.
Yeah,
my guess is probably Signal Corps.
Yeah, because when they try to find out is he weapon trained, it turns out like not really, no. So
soldiers are basic. Every soldier in the military goes through basic training. They have basic weapons.
Yeah, but
so he clearly has basic weapons training.
Yeah, but most of his time that he spent as a soldier, he spent doing something else. It was not his priority.
I'm telling you, he was Signal Corps.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get a copy of the books.
Evil Uncle Ben. It was a shock.
Ian David Diaz. He's been on our show a couple times. And it seems to me that his film was Rebecca Gold. and I'm wondering if that's him.
Well, I hope.
Telling you that's Ian. That's Ian David Diaz,
I
English
hope
friend
we
of
get a
Keith's and mine.
solution to this. So far, they're not telling us.
I think he just dropped in, dropped by, drive by, drive by commenting.
Okay.
That is wrong, man.
And here, I'm going to show you who he is. I'm going to pause this real quick, shut my camera off, present, share screen, share. This is Keith's and my good friend, Ian David Diaz, and he's a filmmaker over in the UK. Brilliant dude. Love listening to him talk. And he did a little film called Rebecca Gold, right there. Rebecca Gold series. I'm telling you, that's David. And that's even the avatar. Go back and look.
Yeah.
It's the same girl. So, yeah.
Well, there you have it.
I want to get him back on because Keith and I need to do another interview, but Keith's been so out of it, busy trying to help take care of his dad, that trying to plan anything like that is just next to impossible. So, there we go. Remove. Put this back on. There we go.
Back and to the left.
And that's where she says, you've got the gun. He goes, yeah, I've got the gun, and it's not enough.
Also, this is the scene where she gives away that nobody expects her to be anywhere in the next few days because she had a holiday planned.
All right. I'm glad you said this, Stephen Ransom, because now I can rant. Because they did make a modern version of this. They turned it into a mini series, an ongoing TV series that didn't last because it was crap. It was crap.
I wanted to ask you that
all of the
before,
best
why?
elements from the books they took out. They turned it into girl boss stuff with some of it.
Say no more.
And it was one of those check the box TV shows. And they focused more on that than telling a good story. And I was so bored with it. And such a great cast. They had William Hurt in it, for God's sakes. They had William Hurt. And they couldn't make a good show with him. They got 2 seasons out of it, but a lot of these shows get lucky because they got producers pushing it. And so, because of its politics, they're like, we got to push this show. Nobody's watching it. Push it anyway. Because they're idiots. So it was, I think they just called it Condor. And it was just terrible. Terrible. By the time we get to the death of the brother, and I think his sister-in-law, I'm out. I was out. I'm stupid. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think David split. I think he just dropped by. Like you said, a drive-by comment.
He's sitting there laughing his ass off about you trying to figure out, is it him? Is it?
He's probably like, wonder if Gary will remember. And I'll go, wait, yeah, I fucking remember. I'm a file, man. I remember shit like that. Really good film, too, by the way. He's made more. I want to see more of his stuff. I haven't had a chance to see any of his new stuff. He's also a big Doctor Who fan.
Oh.
Especially classic Doctor Who. The only Doctor Who I want to talk about right now.
Yeah, well, from what I hear, there's nothing to like about the modern Doctor Who. So if I were ever to go watch that, I would go to the old ones.
I want to go back when they focused on the writing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is interesting what he does here. He puts her arm behind her and puts it in his hand in a way that if she moves, it will wake him up.
I
He's
feel so
got her arm
sorry for
locked
her in that
behind her.
moment.
He says, "I need some sleep," and he's got the pistol and her arm locked.
And it's really just a nap because he just needs a nap before the news. That's 40 minutes. So he's probably going to sleep for half an hour, not much more. So at least it's not long for her.
Again, this is one of those clandestine meetings that kind of reminiscent of what you saw in I forget the name of the film, Marathon Man.
Oh,
Where they're out in
God,
front of
yeah.
the Met waterfall, and then Roy Scheider's character argues with the old German, and that's when the blade pops out of his wrist and he stabs
Oh,
Roy
yeah.
Scheider.
Yeah.
I love clandestine meetings like that, just when they're done right.
With that done right, yeah.
Penny's back.
Yeah, I think she had to hand over her grandson.
Catch!
It's not how you hand over
No,
babies.
no time to stop. Here you go.
You mean a drive-by?
I've
Past
done.
the big
Look,
lot
I
of
have.
car.
Yeah, drive-by kidding. A drive-by kidding. No, I used to tell my kids that. I say, no time. I got to get to work. So, tuck and roll. Dropping them off at school. Can't stop. Tuck and roll.
I bet they found that funny.
Oh man, if only you knew. I was one.
Zoe'd just be giggling.
Oh, yeah.
I was one pass from one car to another, moving when I was a toddler.
What, your parents went and tried that with you?
Yeah, that they were on. Oh, that's a long story.
Man, Venezuela is wild.
Yeah.
And by the way, as sexy as Redford is, those glasses are BC glasses.
Well, he wore them to make him look more nerdy.
I know. My dad
Less
had
handsome.
glasses like that in the 80s.
Those are aviator
What are you
glasses.
talking about? Those glasses don't even have a rim.
Yeah,
Barely
but they're
have a rim.
ugly. They're ugly.
Look at that. Those are not BC.
Yes, they are. As a woman, I'm telling you, they are. Even on Redford. I'm sorry. Dead air. Yeah, now he knows. And we know as well. Her holiday has been cancelled. She's going to be in her apartment anyway. So he can move on. Her apartment is his base of operations now.
And this is where that scene happens, right? So I can show
What
that
scene?
clip. Where he says,
yeah, that is. Because she's been understanding, and now when he talks about getting her car, she gets annoyed again.
it's a really funny moment. Here we go. I censored it. So the one word is kind of absent.
Have I roughed you up?
Yes, what are you
The night is young.
How we're watching that.
Raped you. Stops because the night is young.
We had to go back and watch it again. It's so good. You don't expect shit like that from her.
Well, this is a film that you can watch again and again. This is one of those films
Absolutely.
I love watching every once in a while. This
Her
one,
line just comes
Marathon
out of
Man.
nowhere. And the look on his face, oh my god, yeah. Watch it over and over again. Just for that scene. Totally worth it.
What is that thing like? It looks like a giant crayon
Yeah,
in
I
the
was just wondering
background.
the same thing. I
But
didn't
I think
notice
it's a
one much.
lamp. I think it's a hanging lamp.
Oh yeah, or one of these tall lamps on the floor. They have this rod that lights up, and the whole is just paper, a paper column basically, with light inside. I know we had one of those in the 80s, but it was just white.
Just so you
When I
guys
was little.
know that I am 99.9% positive that Rebecca G is my friend David Ian Diaz, the filmmaker who created the character Rebecca Gold. And
I
I
wonder
think
if
he
we'll
just
ever get a
I
statement.
think he just did a drive-by commenting and just stopped by to say hi, love this movie, and then went on his way.
Knowing he'll derail you because you were going to try and find out.
Well, it's like the minute I saw the name, I'm like, I know that name.
He just tied her up, right? Because he doesn't fully trust her.
Yep. That's why she yelled at him. You're a bully.
Well, he was rough with her. Maybe because he's beginning to feel that there's something happening between the two of them and he doesn't want it. I don't know. He
At
has a
this
wife
point,
after all, right?
he is so hyper focused. No, the person he was in love with is dead.
Oh. Yeah, well, no, that girl from the office, but he is talking to this other woman who's
I
preparing the
think it's
Christmas
his
table
ex.
and everything.
I think that's his ex, and it's not. Oh no, that's not his ex. That's somebody else's ex.
Okay.
Well,
Somebody
this
someone that was killed.
That scene was a little confusing because who is she? Who are the
It-
other two people? They're having Christmas
it's
tree
women.
together?
No, this woman is the wife of his friend who got killed in the alley.
Oh, okay.
That's what I just saying. One of her friends got killed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, this
Because
is one of the
they
many,
were
many movies
having,
that I just see for the first time 2 days before we do the show.
you know, they were going to have a double date in this apartment.
Okay. So she doesn't know he's dead, and he. is
No,
trying
she
to
doesn't
get
know her husband is dead.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense now. I didn't have time to go back to explore that scene.
But here comes the big moment when the devil arrives. And automatically his alarms are going off when he looks at him.
Yeah, he's showing too much interest in him. By the way, in which he
It's the
looks.
way he's standing, the way he's dressed,
Mhm.
his mannerisms, everything is screaming at him, which is why his eyes are locked on him.
Yeah, and when the other dude offers him to leave the elevator first, he was like, "Hell no! You go first. I'm fine." He does not want to turn his back on that guy.
This is a great scene. And again, I want to point out the brilliance of Sydney Pollack as a director. His blocking, his choices to go tight to wide. Two shots at two shot. Look at the two shots, the back and forth. One in focus, one out of focus. Then we flip it. Now we do the
That looks weird in
Right.
this shot.
I like how the killer always have a hint of a smirk when he's looking at him.
And he's always
Yes.
so calm.
like friendly. Remember that
Yeah.
because that gets brought up later. They'll even smile at you. Friendly smile.
Yeah. And by doing that, he's so threatening all the time, and you don't really know why, because he seems friendly.
Now, once
It's just
again,
underlying.
this is him flying by the seat of his pants, getting lucky, because what's going to happen here is the devil, Jobert, is going to go outside with a small sniper rifle, like very small, compact. And he's going to wait for him to come out. And he knows, because he's read enough books, he's in trouble. So he goes and creates a situation where he says, "Yeah, I locked myself out of a car. I'll give you $5 if you'll come unlock my car door for me." And what he's going to do is hide behind these people when they go out.
An animal.
These are
I'm always suspicious of friendly strangers. Yeah, if somebody I don't know is friendly with me, that always ring bells. What do you want to lure me into? No. Why do you want me to lower my defenses around you? I don't know you.
Yeah, I get that.
I
and he look at him. He's tickled.
Yes,
he is tickled by this.
yes,
Because
Oh yeah,
he's enjoying the chase.
he's
he
having fun.
likes Redford's character. He just likes him. He's like,
He's
I
a
feel
cat
bad
playing
that
with a
I have to
mouse.
kill him.
Yeah, he's a cat playing with a mouse, knowing he'll eat him eventually. But for now, he wants to have fun.
Because this guy's life is probably very banal, and finally he's got a prey who's making it hard on him, and it's like, this is nice. Thank you. You're making me work. Uh-oh.
Yes, that's what goes perfectly in tune with what you said before, that the killer, his life is boring. It's his work is so methodical.
Well, he brings it up
It's-
later. It's peaceful work. I
Yeah.
consider it very peaceful, what I do. The guy is very zen. And that scene, that final scene, it has had an impact on me on 3 different stories I've written. I've altered slightly. He's in 3 different versions of one of my stories, and I just love that final scene between the two of them. Wow, not very many people watching today. 15. Not as many Robert Redford fans as there used to be.
No, I believe people is not used to this time slot for us.
Yeah, it's the second time
they're
we're
more
doing
used. They're more used to for us to be on the morning.
Yeah, and when you launch a new show, it takes a couple of weeks for it to be on people's timetables, so to speak. It's Wednesday afternoon. But I like that by doing this show, we have one more opportunity each week to include one more movie, because there are so many. There are not enough Saturdays to cover all the movies that we want to cover.
Yep.
And I'm taking military movies completely out of that, because Monday is for them, but that still leaves so many movies and so little Saturdays. So we have 2 matinees now.
And they call this, the concern is that the relationship is being built off of being a hostage, which they call, what is that term? Oh, I've forgotten it. Where you begin to, Stockholm syndrome. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, did Lauren say it at the same time as I did? Tell her I say hi. After the show, I mean.
That's what's probably going through his mind is she's just having Stockholm syndrome. The fact is she empathizes with him.
I mean, he kidnapped her and decided her
He believes
apartment
him.
is his fortress now. So yeah, she could absolutely have Stockholm syndrome, but she sees something in him. And that's why she ends up in bed with him eventually. There's a level of trust that she can't explain, but it's there.
Which I don't recall that in the book. That may have been something that was just brought in for the movie. Because, you know, one of the last things you think about doing when you are like being pursued to be murdered is think about sex. Just doesn't happen. You're too preoccupied with staying alive. But they threw it in there because it's a romantic thriller and they've got two leads like this. And I personally think
talking
she
about her
has,
pictures again.
of many of the actresses that he's worked with, from Jane Fonda to Barbara Streisand, Faye Dunaway, I think, has the most chemistry with him on screen.
And she's said to be complicated to work with, and you don't get that at all from the way they interact. I think maybe what finally breaks down the wall between them is that he keeps talking about her pictures, and she's probably not used to people paying that much attention to them, and she likes what he sees in them. They connect though with that. Because they are kind of sad and lonely, but in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
This is the love scene.
Yep.
Okay, well, not have any boobs or anything showing. I'm going to skip ahead.
Hey, Gary.
I don't trust.
We have the equivalent of a super chat on Rumble by Credence Gold 13, and they say, "I came in to cheer up my buddy Gary. Boobies! Cheers, everybody! Thank you."
Oh, you just robbed him of that. There was a chance of boobies, and you jumped ahead. Shame on you.
Yeah, I can't.
We need to find a way. There should be a way to do a slideshow where only YouTube has the Jeeva's face over boobies and asses, and Rumble doesn't. That would be awesome. We would have all our watches over on Rumble, I think.
It's Gold 13. Okay.
What?
I was reading the comment over on Rumble.
Oh, he said it's Christian.
Of course it is. Yeah, he was the one I was talking about. I can't do his show tonight because I got to do artwork. Him and Zach's are. I'd love to stream with both those guys tonight, but I've got to do artwork.
Yeah, man. 3 weeks behind. That's gonna be something to get caught up with. I'm glad you have your pen again.
Yes, me too. I'm protecting it by putting it right in front of me, so it's always in front of me.
Just don't eat bagels because then it's not protected if it's in front of you.
Bagels.
You killed a keyboard by eating a bagel over it.
I didn't.
What?
I did not
Yes.
kill it. I was able to clean it.
That's by
And,
cream cheese.
But here's it wasn't the bagel. It
Was
was
the cream cheese.
It was the cream cheese with marmalade that did it. See what he's doing? He's doing this. I love what he's doing here. He's trying to work shit out. This is a methodical character. Because of what he does for a living.
Yeah, he's studying books.
$10 to anybody who can read that backward shit. Just kidding.
could if I had
See,
lived
that
in
looks
time.
like John Brown too, right there in that on the wall.
Maybe whoever designed those for the set was just interested in history and took his face.
No, that's a
to
classic
rough-
statue because I've seen it before. And that's why it's
Okay.
driving me crazy. I've seen that statue before. Yeah, I love how a bunch of those Antifa people went and up to the statue of John Brown and put like swastikas and shit on it,
Oh, idiots.
Satanist
Oh,
symbols.
man. Thank you, Chris, again. Another super chat. Again for $1. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What does he say?
He said
Business before pleasure, Gary.
Man, StreamYard needs to start showing us the Rumble chat. It's so backwards that they still don't give us that.
mm,
And stop blaming it on Rumble, StreamYard.
I wish Rumble would let us like people's comments. Something that bugs me. You can't like people's comments.
You can't anywhere in live chats. All you can do is highlight them. And with Rumble, we can't even do that. Yeah, it would be nice to have that.
I can if I do something. Hold on. Enable. Pop out. There we go.
What do you mean?
There we go. During the chat window.
Huh.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Magic. Uh-oh, there he is again.
Hmm.
That mailman gets around. I remember seeing this when I was 10. I'm like, oh no, don't open the door.
You were taught well thinking like that as a 10-year-old.
I was a paranoid kid too. I didn't trust people, adults in particular. This fight scene is great.
Yes.
You know, this is not one of those highly choreographed fight scenes. It's a down gritty fight scene between two guys, one that knows how to fight and the other one knows how to be lucky.
Yeah. But I mean, this is the 70s. What always makes me laugh are the fight scenes from the 50s or even before that.
Oh,
With the
terrible
the
fight
funny
scene.
punch noises and the clumsy choreography. It's funny. Great movies, but these scenes you just can't take seriously.
This one just like, you know, you can believe it because each one of them has motive and action and interests. You know, you've got two guns that one wants to get to one, one wants to get the other, and each one's aware of it. You know that the other person wants to get to that gun, so there's this chess game going on between them. Like, who's going to get lucky? Who's going to get lucky and get the gun first? And Youth was on Redford's side. Now, in the book, this is where she gets wounded. But they don't do that in the film.
yeah,
Yes,
I love this fight. It was so resourceful, the way in which they are constantly using the environment, even the rocks.
Environmental fighting.
Everything can be a weapon.
It's one of the things I originally liked about Jason Bourne was he
Yep.
did environmental fighting, and but I didn't like the fight scenes after the first film. Doug Liman did a better job directing than that other dipshit that Damon likes to work with, because he does too many quick cuts. People want to see what the person's doing. They want to see the action. They want to step back a little bit and watch the fight. They did the same thing with Taken. First movie good. Second film and on, I think they did 3 films. Terrible choreography.
4 films, David. There are 3 sequels, not counting the Jeremy Renner's one,
What are you
which is
talking
a
about? Wait.
spin-off.
Oh, that doesn't
There-
count. That one. Yeah, I don't.
There are 4 main movies and a spin-off.
No, I'm talking about Taken. There are 3
Oh.
Taken films.
Oh, Taken. Okay.
I said just like with Taken films, the first one's good, second
Yeah.
one, the third one, and I went, well, there are only 3 films. John Houseman's reconsidering taking that job in New York for teaching acting right now. Maybe working for the CIA is not such a good job. Oh, she's giving him the side eye. Look at that. Only one other woman gave great side eye like that. She was with the Bengals. What's her name? Susan Hoff. Was that her name? Something Hoff. Jesus Christ! I'm talking in a isolation chamber.
Sorry,
Suzanne
not.
Hoff.
Okay, and now, how was this in the book? Because at this point she's wounded, but here she's acting like a probe for him, trying to find this character who nobody knows. Well, he doesn't know who he is, so he needs her to identify the guy for him.
Oh yeah, and I love that she does this and how she does it.
I like how casually she talks to him here. And there they go. Get in the car. We gotta talk, my friend. Yeah, take it easy. Mm. Now, is he um, one of the main conspirators? Because he's after this he's starting his own investigation.
Who are you talking about?
The CIA guy. Then he
The
goes to
one
the
played by
computer.
Cliff
and-
Robertson.
Yes, his character. He starts to make an investigation and correlating some things, and gets to this character. So I think he wasn't completely aware of the whole plot of the thing.
I think that's what's going on, because I think the assets there at the CIA really wanted him to come in, but there was a shadow group within their branch
Mm.
that was acting contralaterally with them, and that's who he works for. This character, and I love these close-ups of him working on these statues, little miniatures, again showing that he likes this kind of stuff, the minute detail, the
He's like a nerd.
more complicated package had to be handled. Because right now he's talking to the guy who ordered the whole thing. People move, leave word of change of address. But still, he doesn't know who to trust. Robert Redford's character. He doesn't trust him.
I mean, how? He's a fish out of water completely. It's like he's living in one of the books he reads normally.
So nobody has a complete picture. Only the guy who's calling the shots of the killer.
Does
Yep.
he though?
Yes, and then Cliff Robertson, he pieces everything after this conversation. And his whole attitude is, okay, yeah, Condor is right, but to protect the agency, he must die. So if the third book is titled
Like that, well, where will I find you? I'll find you.
Mm.
I like that scene. What were you saying, Martin?
If the third book is called The Last Day of the Condor, I assume he dies in there, in that one.
I don't know. I'm going to get a copy of the book so I can read it.
I mean, why make 6 when you kill him in the third?
What?
If the third book is called Last Day of the Condor, there's 3 books, 6 days. I'm sorry. I'm confused.
Okay, I was like, where is he going with this?
My brain isn't working anymore. Dude, I've had
What
2
time
full
is it?
shifts in a week without sleep. It's midnight. Close to.
Damn.
It wouldn't be that bad, but I can't take naps anymore now that I'm working and I have construction site in front of my building starting at 8 a.m. So if I'm getting 4 hours of sleep a night, that's a lot. And it's been like that for like 10 days. Only now the naps are gone. So yeah. And I'm learning a lot of new stuff. My brain is pretty done.
This is a clever scene where he just plugs into their fucking phone lines and listening.
I love that trick that he does later, connecting all these phones.
Yeah.
That was great.
And that's why this story belongs in the 70s, because that's the only time you could get away with it. Maybe going into the 80s, you could have done it.
I mean, you show that to kids born in maybe the 90s and later, they wouldn't even know what to make of these kinds of phones and the system.
Now, I was just looking, according to Rumble, we have 13 watching over there right now, if I'm reading this correctly.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
so
that
No,
many
no,
on
I
Rumble,
didn't.
but
It's 2 people. 2 people over there. We need to get more people watching on Rumble.
we need more people in chat.
We're okay.
here's what
We got
what
a
I
great
was
crowd.
I know.
here's what I was telling you. This other investigation. Here you got the mailman, and he's saying he even asked for a correlation. He's trying to find something. And it all make clicks when he sees the name of Jobert. That's when he said, "Oh, I suppose he knows that Jobert is working with his usual contact in the CIA, so he goes to that contact, and that contact tells him everything. Yeah, we were running a simulation that maybe was not going to be a simulation at all." And they changed the material objective in the movie too. It's not drugs in this case. It's something that really makes more sense.
Looks like he did 4 books. I just looked it up. He did 6 Days of the Condor, Shadow of the Condor, The Next Day of the Condor, and then finally Last Day or Days of the Condor. And that got published in 2015.
Wow, they took their time.
That's him, the author, James Grady. He was friends and did a lot of work with Stephen J. Cannell.
Ah, the bittersweet goodbye.
Yeah, for her safety, he's got to send her away.
And she's gonna end their current her current relationship. Nah, I like this guy better than. Whoa, Mm.
So Next Day
I
of the
think.
Condor was actually a short story, by the way.
Oh, the next or the shadow. Oh well.
Yeah, Shadow was in 76, and he wrote a short story, Next Day of the Condor, and then the novel, Last Days of the Condor.
Does he die in that one?
I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Higgins is the name.
And these conversations really do speak of people that work within intelligence communities. This is how they talk to one another.
Really?
Mhm. They tend to be very sarcastic people too, but not like, yeah. The sarcasm is usually done through snide remarks.
Oh man, I remember those sets. The turntable with cassette deck and radio integrated in one big piece of mobiliary.
All right,
We
this is
had
it,
one of
guys.
those.
Condor has figured it out. Who gave the order? Because he listened into the conversation. Not only has he figured it out, Bear has figured Condor out. And I love that. When they show those scenes where he's meticulously working on that miniature, he's working Condor out while he's doing
Oh, yeah.
that. That wasn't there just to show, oh, he's got a hobby. That's nice.
That's to show how thorough he is with whatever he does. Absolutely focused.
So he plays some annoyingly loud 70s music to get the old guy to come down. Can't remember who the old guy is. Addison Powell. That's it. Addison Powell plays Leonard Atwood. This is Atwood here. I'll give you anything. Anything?
Of course, you have to ask that question.
Give me back my father, you son of a bitch.
I am Inigo Montoya.
Prepare to die.
Yes.
Yeah, he knows who he is, but he doesn't know still what he found out.
Why? Yeah, what did we find? Why did you do this?
Then he discovered they were simulating what they were simulating to stage some coups in oil
An
producing
invasion and or
countries.
coup. Yeah. This is all about oil. Not drugs like in the book.
Mm.
But Gilbert has shown up.
Yep, just at the right moment.
He says, "How did you?" And he says, "I figured this is where you would go." I love that. He figured him out. Sitting there painting that fucking statue. He figured it out.
Yeah, and the line that what we just saw, what he says, you did pretty well, Condor, until this. It's like, you
Yeah.
did really well. Just now you fucked up.
Yeah, he sounds disappointed.
Yeah, right?
Like I knew you could do this, but I didn't expect that you would do it.
Yeah, you could have done this a
Took
little
you back.
longer, but now I have to kill you.
I think often in terms of wit, I suspect he was about to become
No,
an
it's
investment.
when, why, and how much is the whole line.
Yeah, but it wasn't there because it got
I know.
edited out.
Yeah.
I have no
just
further
shows how
arrangement
old he is.
that includes you. He's like letting him know, he's the one who hired me to kill you, and I just killed him. This is one of my favorite moments.
Man, Maximum
Can I give
Zero.
you a ride? Can I give you a ride?
To where?
Where am I going to go? And he delivers this cryptic moment here. Very friendly here. You know, he's explaining how things
Always
work.
friendly.
And I think he genuinely really likes this guy. And he's
Yes,
hoping,
he does.
I hope I never have to murder you.
But I will if I have to.
What he does. And this is when it gets cryptic right here.
You know, sometimes at a certain point, I felt like he was trying to recruit him.
Possibly.
Maybe he was trying him out.
And they freeze on
I don't.
Redford when he's turning and looking at him because he's trying to tell him, how do you know we don't own the New York Times?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't even dignify him with an answer to his repeated question. He just gives him the look and like, just leave it.
Oh, we have DJ Smith from Twitter.
It's when he says it the second time. That's when Redford gets that concerned look on his face. For a second, he's really concerned, like, oh shit, he's saying that they own the New York Times. Ah, man, that's a scary ending. That's a
Yes,
scary
it
ending.
is. We have been very confused. Like,
And by the way, this is the look. The only other woman I know that can give side eye that just fucking rocks. Right
yeah.
there. Susanna Hoff, man. Oh. Side eye like nobody's business. We got DJ Smith says 3 days.
I don't know the second movie.
In the parallax view. 3 days and the parallax view. Great flicks and so relevant today. Yeah, I consider Parallax View not as good as this film. Written by the same guy. But I think that this is the better of the two. But I do like the Parallax View. What an ending. Again, not a happy ending. This one has a somber ending.
Now,
you have hopes he's not going to get murdered.
It starts with almost everybody getting murdered, so it's a happy ending to know that he's still alive.
I'm seeing on IMDb that Parallax View is from 1974. So it's
the same year. That's why Warren Beatty left to go work on that, written by the same guy. If I am not correct, that's why he left. It couldn't have been put out in 1974. me go look.
Well, you know, IMDb tends to fuck up with the dates from time to time.
They have good facts, though. I like that trivia.
And The Conversation. I forgot about that movie. Oh, Francis Ford Coppola.
Wow, we barely have time. Do you want to run the interview?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run it.
Both 3 Days of the Condor and Bobby Deerfield seem to be that
This
kind of
is
big
Sydney Pollack talking about the film.
Hollywood packaged deal type of picture, as opposed to some of your more quote personal unquote type of works.
Well, 3 Days of the Condor, I don't know. 3 Days of the Condor is one of the better received critically of my films. I think Deerfield probably you could say that about, but Condor I don't know. Condor ended up being a pretty respectable film artistically, at least if you listen to New York critics. I think it may have started out that way, but it didn't end up that way. Somehow Condor exceeded itself. I think it began with Bob and I wanting to have some fun. That's really what it was. We kept saying, why are we always grappling with these horrendous themes and all this heavyweight stuff? Let's just go out and shoot a movie that's fun. It's contemporary. Let's do this. That was when it was.
I stand corrected. It was the movie Shampoo that he left to go make.
6 Days of the Condor, and it was just a kind of frivolous James Bond romp. And then, as is our wont, once we sat down and started to work with it and really pull the scenes apart, and again pulled David Raphael in, I think it transformed itself into something else. That film is rather extraordinary of all the films I've done, that and Jeremiah, in the sense that that film has played out all of its runs and all of its reruns on cable and on one network, half of its runs and reruns on a second network, and still plays prime time on a prime network and gets a box around it in the New York Times and gets high rating. It gets one of the best bets box around it, when it just did 3 Sundays ago or whatever, when it was on. And that's an old film now, it's 7 years old. And that film I was asked to have open the New York Film Festival, but I couldn't convince Paramount to let it go to open the New York Film Festival. So I don't know if I would call it a big Hollywood package precisely. Again, that may have been how it started out. Bobby Deerfield, perhaps, although I didn't think of it as that. Bobby Deerfield was a film that Paul Newman brought to me just before I made 3 Days of the Condor. I had just made The Yakuza, and it was a flop, and I was petrified to make Bobby Deerfield. I loved it,
that movie,
I was afraid
though.
to make it. So I went off and did Condor. When Condor started to do money, and make money, I dug out Deerfield. Deerfield is a film that I would have paid money to do, probably, which just goes to show you should never listen to me. It wasn't a big Hollywood deal film. Nobody wanted to make it. I mean, studios were not clamoring for it by a long shot. They considered it a downer. It was something I wanted very much to make, and at that time, at the time that I wanted to make it, Newman couldn't make it, so I had to talk Al into doing it. I still don't know what happened on that film. It's to this day somewhat baffling. I suppose I'll understand it. Somehow it just, everything went wrong, I guess, in a way that I don't honestly understand. Did the same thing on that film I've done on every other film.
Although I know that The Electric Horseman had script problems, I think that the fact that much of, as you mentioned earlier, the fact that your relationship with Redford, you were able to bring out a lot of that kind of
Electric Horseman, I literally ended up writing half of every night before.
See you, Penny. Have a good day today. 3 Days, probably a superior movie, but from a technical cinematic view, the way it was shot, I think Parallax is far more modern in its look, and that may have been the film stock they use. 3 Days of the Condor was shot with a very grainy film, which looks really good. It gives it a lived-in feel. I don't think it looks like a period film other than the fact that cars and shit in the background. I think that film easily
Yeah.
could have come out today if it was done by a legit director. 3 Days of the Condor. Parallax
Stephen
view
has
is. I'm sorry, I'm trying to answer him.
Okay.
So, like, what, Martin?
no, that Stephen has a comment that goes along with what you're saying that about
Yeah, but I'm
the
trying to.
film.
I don't want to lose my train of thought. And that'll happen if you do that. So anyway, Parallax is a political thriller more than anything, and it's more of a creature of its time than this is just, the way I read it. Parallax is more of a creature of its time, whereas this story can be today with some of the shit that happens and the way people start wars, the whole wag the dog thing. So I feel this film has a stronger foundation for believability even to this day. So anyway, what was Stephen saying? Martin, I got it out.
Here. That the
Even
film
the film
stops.
stock makes this film feel better. It's gritty. Yeah, it matches the quality of the TV set. But the fact is, though, when you watch that, especially with the HD transfer, it looks great. And there are no pixels with film, and I really think it's stupid when these filmmakers, James Cameron, removes the graininess of the film, because the graininess of the film is what makes it feel like a fucking movie. And he's paying a price for it right now, because that's the greatest criticism against James Cameron's transfers, 4K transfers, is they all look like crap because he used AI and removed all the graininess of the film. Huge mistake. And I know I'm not the only person out there criticizing him for this. There are a lot of cinephiles out there just tearing his ass out because he shouldn't have done that. But I really do agree with you, Stephen, on this, because the film, oh my God, this guy is one of my favorite directors. He really is. Sydney Pollack is just an amazing director. And an actor too. You can find him in movies like Random Hearts with Harrison Ford. You can find, and he directed it too. Not to mention, he was friends with Stanley Kubrick, and Kubrick had him in his movie Eyes Wide Shut. As crappy a film as that is, he does a really good job on it, because he's the guy who starts the ball rolling for Tom Cruise's character in the movie. But Parallax View is a film that we'll probably get around to eventually, because I do think it's a good film, and I would not mind covering that on the channel. So let's get back to his interview.
Before we would shoot, we make jokes now about my saying, let's pick the longest location because I'll have time to write the scene by the time we get there. And that's literally true. There are yellow pads all over the place. We're riding out to work in the morning. I would do the scene. Poor Jane would come back, and we shut down Christmas for 2 weeks, and she came back. She said, everybody's asking me how's this thing going to end? And I keep saying, I don't know. She said, am I going to stay with him, or am I not going to stay with him, or what's going to happen? We didn't even, none of us knew.
Just like Casablanca.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's, I think, responsible for a lot of the spontaneity of the thing.
Yeah, we really didn't know. I mean, that was a film that was sort of made day by day, in a way. It really was. That was something Redford and I got ourselves in real trouble. We had wanted to make another film called A Place to Come To, and we couldn't get it made. We had to abandon it. We had a crew hired, and everybody hired, so we were under the gun. We had to take a film. That was a project that Ray Stark owned, was laying around. We grabbed it, and then realized that we had to do an awful lot of fixing, and we had to start. So we were in the middle of it before we had 20 pages.
Great interview, man. So this is Sydney Pollack, great visionary director. Really, oddly, didn't really do all that many films in his career, but he made some really good ones that stuck out. And I'm going to point out some of those films that I really love that he did. Here's one right here. The one he brought up didn't do well, But this is a great little film with Robert Mitchum, the Yakuza. And that's a Bob Peak poster right there. Bob Peak's artwork's amazing. I'm friends with his son, Thomas. This is a great little film. Great cast.
7.2 doesn't seem too bad, though. Didn't it do well in the box office?
I don't know if it did well. I know, look at the score it got, 7.2.
I know.
You know,
So what was
this
the
is a
problem with that?
very well done film, written by Paul Schrader and Robert Towne, dude. These are two great screenwriters right here. And you got Robert Mitchum, which another thing I love to tell with Robert Mitchum is he had eidetic memory, photographic memory or eidetic memory. There are different versions of it. Like I have a version of it, which is why I can recall visual things so quickly all the way back to my childhood, like when I was 2. But he had written word form of it. And he would read a script and he had it completely memorized, everybody's dialogue, everything. And just amazing, which helped him get into the character. Because he was able to speak more honestly, having memorized the script instantly. And I think it's part of the reason why he's such a great damn actor, Robert Mitchum. So this was Pollack's next film with Redford, Electric Horseman. I do like this film. I'm not a fan of Fonda. I think she's garbage, but I do like this movie. I really do. Willie Nelson's in it too. Plus a great song by Glenn Campbell. Let's see. Absence of Malice is an amazing film. Paul Newman, Sally Field, and I'm trying to remember who the detective was that worked for him. Who was that? It was a good actor. Wilford Brimley's in it. I can't remember who his detective was in this, but great film. Joseph Summer. He's in the movie Witness. God, what a good film. If you've never seen this film, a guy is being tested by the court system because he feels he's being victimized by the government. And he takes him to the court. And the whole title, Absence of Malice, is there was no intent of malice in what the government was doing. It was just doing what it's doing. Plus, there's the press with their coverage of it, making him look bad. And he wants to put the whole system on trial. Good movie. Tootsie. Dustin Hoffman film. Got, what's his name? Bill Murray's in it in a supporting role. Very good film. Jessica Lange, Terry Garr. Classic comedy. The Firm. I don't know if I would have seen this film if it weren't for Sydney Pollack, because it just didn't look interesting to me. And so I watched it, and I really like the film. Good twist ending. The remake of Sabrina is actually pretty good. Harrison Ford, Julia Ormond, and Greg Kinnear, is that his name? Yeah, Greg Kinnear did an outstanding job as David Larrabee. What a good movie. It's a lot of fun. And plus, it's got John Williams and Sting. John Williams and Sting. Come on.
Yeah, but Sting should stay out of acting. I'm sorry.
And then, no, it's his music, damn it.
Oh,
Sting performed and co-wrote the song. My God. When would you ever hear me? You've heard me make fun of his acting. Would never talk well about it. No, he wrote this, co-wrote the song for the film. Now I forget the name of the heart. It's a beautiful song. Him and John Williams. And John Williams doing what he used to do, jazz piano. Because that's how he came up. He came up with the name Johnny Williams that when he was first playing. Johnny Williams, jazz pianist. Random Hearts is actually, I read the book before the film, and I liked the book. And it's very loosely based on the crash of that flight off the in the Potomac off the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the 14th Street Bridge in Francis Scott Key, in between the two bridges, and a terrible incident. And in this one, it's the story of a cop whose wife was on that flight and a politician whose husband was on the flight. Come to find out, their spouses were together on that flight, having an affair. And they find their bodies with their hands held, they were holding hands when they died. And Sydney plays a close friend of the politician, played by Kristen Scott Thomas. And Charles D. Dutton plays the cop partner of Harrison Ford. This is a really good movie. It's not a great film, but it's really good. Good acting. It's got a good story. It's got a heartbreaking ending, but you saw it coming all along. It's one of those films. Sydney Pollack was a great director, and he only lived another 8 years after making this film. And that's sad.
What happened?
He died. He had a heart attack. Died.
Oh, how old was he?
Well, he was born in 34, died in 08.
Okay.
I'm going to double check on his death, but as I
So he was in
recall, it
his
was of natural
70s.
causes. Yeah, he's 73. I stand corrected. He suffered from stomach cancer.
Fuck that sickness, really.
In 2000, Sydney Pollack was honored with the John Huston Award from the Directors Guild of America as a defender of artists' rights. He died from cancer on May 26 of 08 at his home in Los Angeles, suburb of Pacific Palisades. He is a hell of a director, man. And I think he was a hell of a actor's director because he came up as an actor. And so he really knew how to work with actors. Whereas some directors don't know what to do with actors. Ridley Scott's a prime example. He doesn't know how to work with actors. George Lucas is terrible with actors.
Yeah, I mean, you have that in classical music too. Oftentimes the best conductors are people who are either singers on stage or performers in an orchestra because they know exactly what these people need to give their best. Conductors who just study conducting and nothing else, they have never been on the other side. So they think they know, but they don't know it from the other side. So
now I will say this, like Gary Oldman had this great compliment for Christopher Nolan, because he said Christopher Nolan, he's not really an actor's director. He doesn't really give direction. He just says, go, action. He expects his actors to come in and know what they're doing. He hires the best kind of actors for a reason, because he doesn't want to have to direct them. He's like, your lines. And he said, the only time I worked with Christopher Nolan is in the first Batman film, where he said he gave him any kind of direction. And it's that moment where he delivers a line about shit's going down. And Nolan turns to him and says, I think what's happening right now would be more important to him. And then he sat back, and Gary understood what he wanted from him. Add more intensity to the line. That little bit of direction he got. That's all he said to him. I think it'd be more important to him what's going on around him. And I like that. But that's the difference between a movie director and an actor's director. There are guys that are trained to be directors, and they usually don't worry about what the actors are doing. They expect them to do their jobs. And then there are those directors that get in there and want to get the best performance from their actors. Now, Kubrick didn't know how to work with actors. He was terrible with actors too. And what he would do is punish them by making them do the scene over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I can't remember. I think the most shots he ever did on a scene was 30 something, or 50 something, 50
But
sometimes.
didn't
He did
Kubrick also have the approach of a photographer to capture a scene?
Well, he was a photographer. He was a cinematographer before he was a director.
Yeah,
And
but
what
that
he
also made
wanted
it
to do,
complicated.
here's how he looked at it, though. He said, basically, he feels that the actor is trying to work it out, the role or the scene, and he feels that the actor is becoming more honest in their performance the further they go, and that each previous shot was a rehearsal for the next. And I kind of understand where he's going, coming from, or where he came from on that. But in the end, it exasperated Nicholson to where Nicholson said he'd never work with him again. And he says, I can't work with somebody that does that. That figure out what it is you want and let me know. And and I understand that probably more than anything as an artist, because nothing frustrates me than a client that doesn't know what they want. They only know what they don't want. And that kind of client is just awful to work for, because you will just redraw until finally something's, sparks their fancy. And you're like, my God, and that's why I'm careful who I work with or work for now, because I don't want to ever have a client like that ever again, that just doesn't know what they want and only knows what they don't want. So what they're telling you is, just show me something and I'll tell you if I like it or not. That doesn't fucking work for professionals. We don't like that. We like going to a client, picking their brain, and then delivering some artwork, which is why, and you know this, Anima, I hit the ball out of the park quite often with the first fucking finished piece.
Mm-hmm.
Even with my sketches, because I listen to what my clients are saying. And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I see where you're going. You want me to have some freedom there? Well, I know what'll look right there. So I'll do that. And, and I just delivered a book cover this morning. And I'm waiting, because I know they've already pre-approved it. The author did. But now the artwork is finished. So I can kind of hardly wait to see how they feel about the final artwork, because I thought I did a really, really tremendously good job on this piece. And I'm very happy with it. I guess I can show you, but I can't show you the title, because that'll get me in trouble.
Have I seen it?
I don't know, maybe. Oh.
It's been a while since you've shown me artwork you're working on, because you didn't have your pen and stuff.
And I cannot show you the name, but here it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing this.
And you did a great job, I agree.
So I'm hoping, because I guess I could, hold on a sec. I can take you into the artwork a little bit so you can see the detail I put into it. The glare on the eye, I like doing that because it shows that there's something like a screen.
I love it
drawing.
when you go photorealistic like that, and you let me watch some of it while you are working on it. I'm just fascinated.
Fun stuff. That's that Struzen style.
I think everybody should know how long it takes to finish a thing like that. Because if you're not
Oh,
into it, you have no idea.
Pollack, Tootsie, Hoffman's agent. Hilarious, if I remember. Yes, he is Hoffman's agent in the film. Let's see. Hitchcock supposedly really hated actors, so it's claimed, probably apocryphal. I think he wasn't really an actor's director, but he knew how to get the performances from his actors. What was hard about Hitchcock was he was fixated with certain females, especially blondes, and he would fixate on them, obsess, And it's what led to some of his problems, and it led to a problems later for Tippi Hedren. I don't doubt some of the veracity of her story, that he intentionally, knowingly ruined her career because he wouldn't let him control her life, because he's obsessed like that. But Hitchcock, he I actually really like his early films when he was in the UK. I really do. The version he did of The Man Who Knew Too Much and 39 Steps are two of my favorite Hitchcock films. The original Man Who Knew Too Much, not the one with Jimmy Stewart that he remade later. But he also tended to work with the same actors because he wants actors that know how to do their work, knew how to do their job. Because like the first thing he did with Jimmy Stewart was Rope. And then he followed that up with The Man Who Knew Too Much and Vertigo. Great films. He worked with Cary Grant 3 times, I think, 4 times. My favorite one is It Takes a Thief.
Oh, I love that
Or
one.
To Catch a Thief. Was it
To Catch a Thief?
or
To
To Catch a
Thief.
Thief.
Catch a Thief? Yeah, because the TV series that was kind of a loose spin-off of it went with the other part of that, because To Catch a Thief, it takes a thief to catch a thief. So, and I like that show. Robert Wagner, Fred Astaire, great show. But next week, what are we doing next week? I think the rundown, is that it, or what are we doing?
Let me check.
No, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think we're doing that
Yes.
one next.
Yes, that's the one.
And I know we're also going to be doing Equalizer with Denzel Washington, and we're also going to be doing The Rundown with The Rock and Sean William Scott, which I love that movie. Peter Berg directed it. And I got to tell you, they're still talking about getting around to doing a sequel to that movie, because the guys are all
mean, I
love
love that movie. I think it's underrated and underappreciated.
It made its money. It turned a profit. And what's his name? Johnny Reyes is in that. Best known for being in some of the Kung Fu Kid movies and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he has a fun character in it, who moved to the US. Kubrick, American director who moved to the UK. Here's the other thing about Kubrick people aren't aware of, is that Kubrick suffered from a severe phobia of traveling. So once he moved to England, he wasn't going anywhere else. He discovered his fear moving to England.
Yeah.
And he's like, I am never traveling again. So every single film he did, he shot in the UK.
Including
That
Full
includes
Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yep. And they made it look like Vietnam. I mean, not the soil that was different, but try to find an interview with Baldwin about that, because he was in this tank top and he was freezing all the time, because it wasn't hot and moist Vietnam. It was clammy and cold and wet England.
Wait, did you say moist?
No,
they were having trouble. They were having trouble during the shooting with breath coming out, the mist. So they would put ice in their mouths to cool their mouths off so they didn't give off. But you can actually see it like 3 times, a little bit of mist coming out of people's mouths. It's so fucking cold.
I like it when directors pay attention to that.
But even the movie The Shining, all the exterior shit was second unit direction. That was all shot in Colorado. But they rebuilt that set. Like 3/4 of the building was built there in London. They had a horrible fire because this took place while they were filming Empire Strikes Back. Lucas was fighting for space in that studio there at Elstree because of fucking Kubrick, and it burned down and they had to rebuild part of it back. Oh man, it was a real nightmare making that fucking movie, but it was worth it. Plus, it was a big fuck you to Stephen King, which I really appreciate. I can't stand that guy. Never have liked him. But Hitchcock, yeah, was your typical Brit director. Moved to the United States, start making this. Remade one film, And I don't know if I feel that it's the better film. The Man Who Knew Too Much. I like the film, but it's a different film. I like the British one because the wife, who's the sharpshooter, grabs the rifle from the cop and shoots the bad guy on the rooftop, saving the day. The mom. I mean, that's forward thinking. Having the woman she can't fight. She can't run to do anything stronger, but she can shoot better than a man because she's a top-notch shooter. She's Olympic level shooter. And I love that. I fucking loved it. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing, get your kicks for free. So, but that's it, man. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite films of all time. There we go. 3 Days of the Condor, based off of the book 6 Days of the Condor. I am looking forward to getting copies of the 2 sequels to it. I want to read them. And I haven't wanted to read fiction in a while. But Robert Redford, top of his game. And so is what's-her-face there, Faye Dunaway. And man, she's weird. She's weird. Have you ever like watched videos talking about some of her weird habits on set? Like she had a toilet. She had a toilet in her dressing. It's the film she did, I think, with Marlon Brando and Johnny Depp. And she refused to flush the toilet.
Don Juan de Marco.
Yeah, she refused to flush the toilet. So her dressing room smelled like urine and feces. Yeah.
Ew. What's wrong with her?
I don't know if he remade Gaslight. I don't recall that one, buddy. I'll look into it. I do know I love the movie Gaslight. It's a great film. But I'm only aware of the British version. I don't know if there was an American version. There was an American film that felt like it. That was really good. Doris Day was in it. Let me see if I can find that movie. Rex Harrison and let me see if I can find it. Rex Harrison, Doris Day. And that movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. Midnight Lace. Midnight Lace always felt like it was kind of a semi-remake of Gaslight. And it's very Hitchcockian. And in fact, my favorite Hitchcock film that wasn't made by Hitchcock was Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant in, I almost said the wrong name, the Trouble with Charlie. What was that movie called? You've seen it.
I don't know.
Anima.
I don't know.
And she was in love with Cary Grant too. Charade. It's Charade.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Great fucking movie. And she delivers that line. She looks and she goes, "You know what's wrong with you?" He goes, "I don't know what." And she goes, "Nothing." That was so cute the way she delivered that scene. We should do that movie sometime. I love the movie.
Absolutely.
I'm a big Cary Grant fan.
That's what we did his birthday special like that.
Yeah, we talked about it on his special. We should do the movie, though. We should really do the movie.
We didn't do lists, and I actually, for the first time, had a list. And To Catch a Thief was my number one. There you go.
Yeah, because you didn't like that one. I do. I love that movie.
Which one?
I love Charade. God almighty. Cary Grant movies.
Yeah, some of your favorites just didn't work for me. But that's okay. It would be boring if we had the same taste in everything.
Whatever. Nobody cares. So, but that's it, guys. We talked long enough. I really did love that movie. And trust me, I'll watch it again before the end of the year because 3 Days of the Condor is just one of my favorite films. DJ Smith, I will be checking out doing Parallax View. I don't think Animal will like that film. It's a different kind of film, but still, we'll cover it, and because it's a film worth covering. Warren Beatty's a great actor. He had this fixation with communism because I suspect that he was a lefty. He did first. He did that movie about the last tycoon. God, he's involved with the producing. He wasn't even acting in them. I don't think he was even in The Last Tycoon. But there's that great scene between Nicholson and De Niro, and where clearly Nicholson's character is a commie. And then later, he would play a very similar character with Warren Beatty in his movie Reds, which is a good film, but I'm sorry, the cat just got my attention. Being weird again with the linoleum. So that's it, guys. We're going to get out of here. Now we have more people watching us than when we started. 27. Yay. Yay, us. So I want to thank Deborah Cohen for being here, D. Bud Martin Sachs, Lord Thoth, Penny, Stephen Ransom, Rebecca Gold, who I absolutely positive is my buddy David Ian Diaz,
We still
Nadia,
need that mystery to be served.
and DJ Smith. I messaged him. I'll see what he says.
I know.
So and DJ Smith, thanks everybody for being here today. I hope you enjoyed the film, and because I know I enjoyed talking about it. Have a great day, guys. Bye.